The plank, an exercise hated by many, loved by a few. And today's video, I'm going to try and transform your thoughts into you being a plank lover. And the reason being, planks are great. They just build such a great foundation around your core. They make sure that they stabilize your spine so that your spine stays healthy, and they also help you through other exercises like squats, deadlifts, and pull-ups for you to be stronger and to pull more weight. That all being said, if you're doing planks wrong, you are going to have less benefit out of that exercise. And if you're doing planks correctly, you need to spend less time into that tedious exercise because you're going to get more bang for your buck. We're going to look at how we can cue each and every part, and then we're going to see the plank as a whole, and that is going to give you a better understanding of how to do planks. Let's start with the head. Well, the head is very important because you don't want to strain your neck. Typically, we want our planks to help us to have a stable spine, but if you're tilting your head backwards, that's not going to help you functionally for everyday life. So keep a neutral spine, keep a neutral neck. If you have a cell phone with a timer in front of you, it might help to just look away now and then because time goes by faster, right? But actually that's not the case. But feel free to look left and right, but don't look straight in front of you because that is going to strain your neck. Now, let's talk about the shoulders. Now, we want the shoulders to have a stable base, but we don't want to protract or retract our scapula too much. We just want to have it in a neutral position so that we can be strong, but we also don't sag into our shoulders and that our shoulders will not be bothering us during the planks. Now, let's go down a little bit. As we talk about elbow position, the best thing for elbow position is straight under your shoulders. So we don't want to flare out too wide because then again we're going to put the emphasis more on the shoulders rather than the core. So that's very important. Keep your elbows just underneath you. Your forearms can go wherever you like, but preferably just keep them straight. Now, a great way to get into your plank, because that is also part of the elbow position, is by starting on your elbows and on your knees, and then you start to shift one leg out and then the other one, and then you start from a good elbow position, you start from a good lower arm position, and from there on you're going to adjust the rest of your body. Now, as it comes to the thoracic spine and the lower back, we want this to be as neutral as possible. As it comes to pelvis, you want to avoid anterior pelvic tilt. That way you're going to put a lot of strain on your lower back. Basically, you want to tilt your pelvis forward, so tucking your tailbone in, and that way you're going to feel your core contracting a lot more. Speaking of your abdominal muscles, what I like to do is I like to contract them actively during the plank, and therefore not 100%, but at least 50% and up. That way you actively engage your core. I also want you to breathe into your core. You learn to engage your core muscles, your abdominal muscles, while still breathing. The goal of the plank is not to hold your breath for as long as possible. The goal of the plank is to hold the plank for as long as possible and to really create core stability. A good tip that I have for that is, instead of working with a timer and instead of working with seconds, I like to define my planks with breaths. So typically I start with 20 breaths of planks, and that's basically inhale, exhale. That's one breath. And that way, if you really mentally focus on your core, you're going to be a lot better off. Now let's also talk about sets and reps. I like to do my planks not for too long, so I said 20 breaths, and that's typically where I keep it at. But if you want to do more planks, you just add more sets. I would start anywhere around 3 to 5 sets. Let's talk about the glutes. The glutes, you want to not squeeze completely, but just have like a slight engagement of the glutes. You don't want the glutes to be loose as a noodle, because that way you're also going to create anterior pelvic tilt and potentially hurt your lower back. So we really want to be mindful of that we create at least a stable base for your ass muscles. Now, as it comes to legs, you want to keep your legs as straight as possible, and you want to keep your feet either like shoulder width apart or close together. You don't want to have it too wide, because part of getting a good plank is also to have a little bit of instability. The closer you put your feet together, the more unstable it's going to be, the more emphasis you're going to have to put on your core muscles, on your abs. If you have some trouble, it's better to put your feet a little bit wider, not to exaggerate too much. That way you're going to create a little bit more stability and making the exercise easier. Speaking of making the exercise easier, if planks are too hard for you, what you might also want to do is put your knees on the ground and do all of the above, like I said before. Before we close off this video, I have a question. What is your most important cue as it comes to planks? What are you using to get your plank better or to get more out of your planks? Let me know in the comments down below. And also, I guess I'll be seeing you all in the next video. Peace out!